Hey everybody, welcome to the Center Lane. It's a political discussion for those of us in the middle and the center who just want our politicians to find some consensus to get some things done. Too far to the left, too far from the right, that's not what the Center Lane's about, right? We want some people in the middle that can come to consensus. I'll talk about a few things today. First up, of course, our former president Trump is now a convicted felon. That sounds really bad when you say it. It does. It sounds horrible, but the charges seem a little, a lot of people that are just trying to pay their bills and get things, make their lives better, aren't wrapped up in that court case a lot. I guess what I'm saying is, will that move the needle? I don't think it's going to move it a lot. People that were going to vote for Trump are going to vote for him, and people that weren't aren't going to either way. I always felt that case. I mean, the other cases against him, the document case and the the Georgia case, when he told them to find 11,000 votes, and of course trying to overthrow the elections. Those three seem like that's something that I think would possibly persuade or dissuade people in one way or the other towards voting for him. But this one always kind of reminded me of kind of like when Bill Clinton got impeached. I mean, the Monica Lewinsky thing. He lied about having an affair. Okay, that's not good, but you impeach him for that? To me, I guess what I'm saying is that case and Trump and paying a porn star hush money seems like something between him and his wife. If she's willing to forgive or unforgive him, I know there's more to it than that. But the bottom line is it didn't seem to really meet the standard of, what it came to. Now, obviously you're not allowed to. He did some cover-ups. He did some things wrong. So did Clinton. He lied about this and that. But to me, it seemed like it's more of a husband-wife thing. I don't know. That's just the way I looked at it. Well, I think it'll move the needle for people as far as the election goes. I don't think too much. People on the fence maybe would be persuaded one way or another. But I also believe that they would, I think the bigger problem for him, I should say, is that he's going to have to go to probation hearings, and he's got to go to sentencing, and he's got to have a probationary officer who's going to get with him and what his sentence should be. He's got a lot of stuff he's got to, answer to for this. So that's definitely going to be an issue for him there and hurt his campaign, I suppose. So will or will it not change voters' minds? Or are people getting really amped up about it? I don't even think really hardcore Trump supporters. I don't know. I mean, I don't hear him saying a whole heck of a lot about it. There's like 15 people out there protesting after he got sentenced. He was talking about waves of people. There's nobody out there. I just don't think this case did that. Once down the road, yes. If they go forward, I think they'll have a lot more people involved in trying to, either back him or go against him. So that's one of the problems that Trump has going forward. But Biden's got his own problems. I guess today, his son is going for gun charges or something. Another case that has me scratching my head. I could see if you want to put Hunter Biden in for like influence peddling or taking bribes, but he lied on a form to buy a gun when he was a drug addict. He checked the box saying he didn't do drugs. Well, I don't own a gun, but I got a lot of friends that do, and I'm not going to rat them out, but some of them smoke pot. That's a drug, right? So what? If you don't check that box, you get found out, you got to go through all this. It seems like, again, that's another one that has me scratching my head. I mean, I'm not saying, laws are laws. I know we have to enforce them, this and that, but come on. People lie on that form all the time. Now, the other stuff he may or may not have done, that seems like that's relevant. But again, another case where it's taking up a lot of headlines and people are, at least the press is getting all excited about it. I don't think anybody else is overly, going nuts over whether Hunter Biden bought a gun or not while he was a drug addict. I don't know. I could be wrong there again, but just to me, it just seems like, with all that's going on in the world today, you know what I mean? So Biden's got his own problems this week. He'll be in the headlines with some, things that are not going to look good for him or for his campaign. So what do you got in a nutshell? You got two old men who shouldn't even be running, but they are. And they got some problems they got to deal with. So I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of like, it seems kind of comical. We'll see how that debate goes June 27th. That ought to be something. It's funny because Trump, after he got convicted, he had this crazy press conference. Well, I'm going to call it a press conference. He said a few words the next day, and he couldn't string a sentence that made sense together for me. I couldn't listen to it. It's horrible. He doesn't make any sense. He's all over the place. And then Biden, every time Biden talks, I just start cringing. Like, Is he going to spit it out? Is he going to say it? I mean, I think he makes more sense than Trump, but it's alarming. You're running for both these guys are running for president of the United States. You should be able to string together a sentence. Both of them, they should be able to talk. They both need to. Yeah, I'm not going to go on about that. That's who's running. You and I have to deal with that. Nobody else has a shot. So, anywho, that's all on the Trump Biden thing up to now. It's kind of frustrating. That's why I haven't put too many of these out lately, because I've just been like shaking my head. Another thing I want to talk about real quick was the potential for a peace agreement over there in Gaza, which is great if that happens. But it's funny. I was kind of doing a little research on the whole thing. It's like, if they have a peace settlement, will anything change? Will Hamas still be, involved? They're going to be, because they're integrated in the population. And I thought to myself, well, why, Gaza, there's two places in Israel. There's the West Bank, which seems to me had a better shot at being if you're going to have a two-state solution. The West Bank in Israel with the Gazan population was a little more stable and had a little more chance of maybe making it. But then again, there's whole thing going on there with Jewish settlers that weren't supposed to let in there, and that's turned into kind of a nightmare. But the Gaza situation was like, we kind of remember they went over there and killed 1,200 people, men, women, and children. They slaughtered them, and most of the soldiers that were doing the slaughtering were kids themselves. So that's a really big, complicated, and deep solution. So I thought, well, why doesn't other countries like Egypt or something allow, the Gazan population to move there? And then if you look into history on that one, it's like the Palestinians don't have they don't assimilate. They don't assimilate very well, man. When they lost the wars in 67 and 73, and then Jordan, a lot of them went to Jordan. Within 4 or 5 years, they're trying to overthrow the King Hussein in Jordan. I mean, they tried to overthrow his government, so that was a whole war battle. And then a lot of them went into Lebanon, and 5-10 years later, the civil war in Lebanon broke out, and that was a mess. I mean, Egypt was like, well, why Egypt? You got all that land, let them have 400 square miles. No, they're like, no way. And Saudi Arabia, all of them, they're all scared to death of the Palestinian people, because not that the people themselves are bad, but the people that their governments or their people that want power, and they have a mindset that they will not be. Dictated to. They're not going to be dominant. They want to rule themselves, which is fine. But the problem is, they take down a lot of stuff around them when they do it. So it's very complicated. I'm not an expert on it, but if you look at history, and sometimes you got to look at history to see what's going to happen in the future, it's pretty much a mess. So if they get the peace thing, that'd be great, because innocent people, innocent Palestinians are being killed, obviously, and it's horrible. And Israeli soldiers too. 600 of them have died in this little war that they've had in the past 3 or 4 months, 5 months. So a lot of people are dying. We need to stop that. But what the answer is, I mean, I don't know, man. I thought maybe forget Gaza, try to make the West Bank work. You're going to have to get some of those hardcore right Jewish settlers out of the West Bank that are, I mean, they're terrorizing the Palestinians there. They are. There's the open warfare there just on the streets, neighbor against neighbor. It's bad. So if you want to look into that, it's just, it's not a good, there's no easy solution there. And last but not least, I was just going to say, just real quickly, I know Dr. Fauci was going in front of the Senate committee for trying to figure out COVID and start pointing fingers and make it a political football again. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, come on, man. She needs to go. I mean, she's an embarrassment. Everything she touches turns to crap. And she was just a fool yesterday too. You're not a doctor. You should be in jail. All this stuff. It's just like when you see our government in motion like that, and seeing these hearings that have just evolved into this name calling, and they've got a camera going, and then a second later, this is on both sides too. She's an extreme example. But up there and they fundraise. They have these hearings. Some of these people on there, hardcore people like herself, just want to perform and keep themselves out there. I mean, she already looked like a fool trying to get rid of Johnson for the speakership, which I think has actually done a pretty good job. I mean, he has had a tough, he's a little too right for me, obviously, but I mean, I think he's tried to be fair-minded on the things that really matter for us. So I give him credit for that. But then you got this knucklehead trying to kick him out because he's not MAGA enough or something. She don't even make any sense either. And you want to talk about somebody that doesn't make sense. I mean, Trump and Biden make look like geniuses next to her. Just my thoughts on that. I don't want to give her too much time because honestly, the more you talk about her, the more she stays relevant. And I told myself I will not read any more articles about her. I will just tune her out. So if we can do this together, maybe, just maybe she'll go away. That would be outstanding, wouldn't it? Anyways, that's it. That's all I want to talk about today. Again, I haven't done too many of these lately because I'm really close to finishing this book I'm working on right now. So I'm really pumped to get this thing done. And also I have another one on there on my channel, Dick Nixon. It's one word. If you want to go, I got a free audio book there for a book that I wrote last year. And if you're interested in that, that'd be great. Check it out. And we'll talk to you soon.